Now, this is a cool unboxing experience, and this is what I call a future-fi looking hi-fi stack. HiBy Audio is known for radical changes, as the FD5 DAC combo and the R4 digital audio player look like they came from the future with bold angles, sharp edges, and amazing color schemes with a modern twist. You are probably wondering right now which one I'm going to review today, the FD5 or the R7, and the answer is yes, both of them. While FD5 looks like a tiny looking hi-fi stack, let me tell you that some clever engineering skills went into making this one. We're talking about 4 actual DAC chips, we're talking about a fully discrete amp stage that rocks 32 transistors, and of course a fully balanced operation input to output. It will cost you just $429, and it works not only with PCs and Macs but also with Android and iOS devices. R4, on the other hand, is quite possibly the most affordable Android-powered digital audio player of today that also rocks 4 actual DAC chips, 16 transistors for a fully balanced operation, and the best part, it will cost you just $249, and this part makes me excited because lots of folks can finally afford a properly made digital audio player that offers so many features and drives so many headphones and IMs with lots of authority and control. I won't talk too much about their looks, just look for yourself. We have CNC machined cyberpunk inspired cases, glass panels, colorful displays, simple looking UIs, and I must say that I have never seen anything remotely close, and both units should be praised for their cool cases that are functional yet sturdy. The FD5 is incredibly simple, just connect its power adapter, put the amp on top and let them do a handshake via a custom interface. Power on the unit, choose Bluetooth or USB input, and you are all set and ready to rock. 2 gain settings are provided and 2 working modes, Class AB or Class A. However, if you want to squeeze maximum performance, leave it in Class A and never touch that switch ever again. FD5 offers a 4.4mm balanced and a 3.5mm single-ended headphone output, and on its back you can see 2 dedicated line outs, a single-ended and a balanced one as well. R4, on the other hand, offers the usual inputs and outputs a portable unit should have. USB Type-C is used for charging, data transfer, and USB DAC functionality. We again have 4.4mm balanced and 3.5mm single-ended headphone outputs and a couple of buttons that will help you control your music playback. The mandatory micro SD card slot is also present that will expand the internal ROM memory with up to 2 TB in size. Under the hood is where all the magic is happening, and I must say that HiBy engineers once again outdid themselves, especially with the FD5. So this fellow right here uses 4 actual AK4493 DAC chips in mono mode for the best possible dynamic range and also for the lowest channel crosstalk. We have 6 op-amps at output stage, also 2 op-amps for the headphone amplifier section, followed by 32 discrete hand-matched transistors working in Class AB or Class A mode, so this is actually quite crazy. This puppy right here can provide up to 1.5 watts per channel in 32 ohms, which is actually a lot of power considering how small this guy is right here. The DC voltage intake is cleaned up by the unit that sits on the bottom that powers both the amp and the DAC sections that are sitting on top. It also supports some of the nicest codecs out there as a receiver, including LDAC and UAT. R4, on the other hand, is powered by a Qualcomm 665 system on chip, which also, by the way, powers their expensive and high-end RS8 and R8 Mark II units. We have an open Android 12 platform, so obviously you can install all of your games, music streaming apps, YouTube, so on and so forth. 3 gigs of RAM memory and 32 gigs of ROM memory are on board, but thanks to affordable microSD cards, you can now expand the storage without inflicting serious wallet damage. 4 ESS 9018 C2M mobile DAC chips are working in mono mode for maximum performance. 2 op-amps and 16 transistors are making the headphone amplifier circuit. While small and portable, this guy provides up to 529 milliwatts of power per channel via its balanced output, and while That doesn't seem that much. It was able to power most of my desktop headphones and of course all of my IAMs. Some of the best Bluetooth codecs are on board, and it can work as a sender and also as a receiver. So how do these two little gizmos sound? Let me start first with the FD5, which not only caught my attention but also that of my son. And after listening to several of his favorite tracks, he even asked if there is a chance he could keep the FD5 for himself. Now, after engaging Class A and high gain, I connected some of my favorite headphones like the T+A Solitaire P, and I engaged a long playlist that incorporates most musical genres. What surprised me first was not its technical performance as a DAC and as a headphone amplifier, but its tone and timbre, which will impress you right away. The FD5 is not a flat or linear sounding unit. Instead, it focuses on delivering a fuller sounding mid-range and a stronger bass delivery. Listening to Blind Ego, I was surprised by how real the bass guitar sounded to me. Not only it had a longer decay and a longer vibration compared to say an SMSL SHX or topping A70 Pro, but the sound was weightier and fuller bodied. There was simply more meat on the bone compared to those two amplifiers. So the sound was more visceral, punch in a way, more lively sounding, and in the end this one was more fun sounding overall compared to those flat and ultra-linear sounding amplifiers. I was also surprised by the metallic nature of the cymbals, which was still there, but at the same time those were not slashing my eardrums like sharp katanas, so I can listen to aggressive music for a longer period of time compared to those SMSL and topping units. I then checked Downgrade Desert by Igor, which is an aggressive electronic track, and at the 1 minute and 5 second mark the sound gets busy, trebles are roaring like a fire dragon, but the music felt right and the aggressiveness was not overpowering the rest of the track. And I know it's dumb calling an electronic track natural sounding, but Downgrade Desert sounded natural, organic, and twisted at the same time. After moving to prog rock, I couldn't overlook the Beauty and the Beast intertwined when Dysphoria by Airbag started playing. The track slowly builds up and then explodes mid-track. I think that FD5 does so easily, and yet the tiniest units of SMSL and topping can't portray with the same beauty. So clearly FD5 was made for music lovers first, for gamers later on, and not for snobby audiophiles. The sound was always juiced up, it was nuanced and textured and beautiful. Some might call it smooth and organic and sweet sounding, with lots of warmth oozing from the bass and mid-range region. The second thought that hit me like a dopamine rush was how much power on tap FD5 has. Fully driving a few of my headphones, most of them except for one. HiBy Svara is definitely something that needs considerably more power, usually some beastly looking amplifiers, and the FD5 sadly couldn't drive those decently, but the Solitaire P, which are the second hardest to drive headphone in my collection, worked absolutely amazing. What I was surprised is that the bass was not only cutting deeper, it was controlled, but it was simply really powerful, dynamic, and fun to listen to. So the bass is actually the first thing that you should focus when a headphone amplifier is driving a pair of headphones, because the bass is eating more of the power output. So the first thing is that it was easily driving the Solitaire P at around 75 out of 100 steps available, and mind you, I'm listening louder than most people do, so at around 95 dB, and that was easily achievable with the FD5. But as you all know by now, having a very high volume output and being nicely driven are two very different things. And I must confess that the Solitaire P were nicely driven by the FD5 and everything was really in place. Control of the drivers, kick in the bass, everything was, checking all the boxes that a proper headphone amplifier should have. With the HD800S, I had quite a surprise, because those usually need a higher voltage swing, and usually small amplifiers cannot provide such an impressive voltage swing. So They can be punchy, alive, but also nicely controlled. But with the FD5 HD800S were not just great sounding, but FD5 was one of the nicest DAC amp combos that I have ever tried with the HD800S at any price point. So flip the switch to high gain, use Class A mode that is controlling nicer, especially planar magnetic headphones. Use that 4.4mm balanced output, and suddenly FD5 is not just, you know, a small DAC amp combo that drives portable headphones, but it could drive basically every headphone in your collection, except for super hard to drive ones like HE6, Susvara, DCS Stealth, Expanse, Modhouse, Tungstens, and Abysses. The third and the last thought that passed through my mind was how dynamic and how engaging and how hard-kicking this one sounded, not only with dynamic but also with hard-to-drive planar headphones. Water Rising by Oceans of Slumber starts with a really powerful double drum combo, which sounded really impressive on the FD5. I could literally feel 100 punches, you know, kicking my eardrums, something that usually happens with proper DAC amp combos. I recently reviewed the SUX DAC by SMSL, which I liked, but the SHX, the headphone amplifier, is kind of ethereal and lightweight sounding in the bass, and those two together are considerably more expensive than FD5, but those cannot provide the bass punch, the bass impact that the FD5 is providing to me with the Solitaire P. With the little guy, which is more affordable and feature-packed, the bass is omnipresent, it brings your mood up, and I'm always cracking a smile while listening to this one because this is what I would describe as a fun sounding little gizmo. Now the Air 4 is quite a different sounding little gizmo, but let's not forget that this is a battery operated device, and also there is not so much power on top, so it cannot possibly drive the same loads with the same authority and control like the FD5 did. Now, case in point, with the Solitaire P, I was arriving at around 90, maybe 92 out of 100 steps available for the same SPL compared to the FD5, but the sound was not as visceral, as punchy, as alive like it was on the FD5, but still this one was capable of driving plenty of my headphones, but not the Solitaire P. Its tonality also shifted from a mid-range heavy unit like the FD5 was to a more V-shaped frequency response, boosting the bass and the treble energy a little bit more compared to the FD5. The sound also got clearer and sharper, and finally I could focus on things happening in the background, something that I couldn't do so easily with the FD5. So clearly this one is more audiophile proof compared to the FD5. I also observed that it works nicer with modern tunes like pop, electronica, rock, where you have tons of treble and bass. This one also has a slightly faster transit response compared to FD5. Everything is super fast, super snappy sounding, something that FD5 is not doing so great because that one is mostly smooth, easygoing, and organic sounding. More importantly, Air 4 was completely dead silent with all of my IAMs, with single driver IAMs, with multi-driver, with hybrids, with balanced armatures. All of them worked just nicely, and I simply couldn't detect any kind of noise or distortion at higher volumes on high gain via its balanced output. It was completely dead silent. And this is what excites me, because most of you probably will be using multi-driver IAMs or IAMs in general with a portable digital audio player. There is plenty of power on board, and it was nicely driving even a few of my planar headphones like Meze Elite, Meze Lyric 2, Kinertone, Rockner, RZH Charybdis, RZH Phobos. All of those sounded great on the Air 4, and I never felt that the bass was flabby, out of control. It was always tight, fast and impactful, something which Air 4 does very well. However, the part that impressed me most is the price to performance ratio. This fellow right here costs just 249 bucks, and if I'm thinking about it, I don't know if there's a respectable DAP maker that offers the same price to performance ratio. For example, the cheapest Android-powered DAP of Fire is M11S, which costs $500. The cheapest Android-powered DAP of Shinling is M3 Ultra, which costs $480. HiBy doesn't have a real competitor right now, and so far Air 4 is fighting a forever alone battle with itself. Wrapping up, there might be two small issues with the Air 4. The first one is heat generation and heat dissipation. So if you are using this one with hard to drive loads like planar headphones via balanced output, high gain, then it will get pretty hot. However, if you are not using such loads and you'll be driving some IM, some portable headphones, and you don't intend on using it on high gain, then it's not as hot anymore. And secondly, since this is a battery operated device, HiBy decided to not include that Class A working mode, so it works just in Class AB. And these are my only gripes that I have with the Air 4. Apart from this, this is really an audiophile-proof little digital audio player that sounds great and looks fantastic. It costs just $249. It's Android powered, you can install any third-party app, and it gets my highest recommendation, as simple as that. FD5, on the other hand, looks as cool and futuristic like its smaller brother, but it's cut from a different cloth when it comes to sound reproduction. Some call it colored sounding, some warm and full-bodied, but for me it was fun sounding all the times with all of my headphones. And since we have single-ended and balanced lineouts, it can be used with powered speakers as well for a neat-looking desktop hi-fi rig. The FD5 is also quite affordable in my eyes, and except for a slightly higher working temperature in Class A mode, I cannot fault anything else, getting another stamp of approval. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. My name is Sando, and I'll see you very, very soon. Cheers!